So welcome to the Messengers. It's July 16th, 2026. It is the day of Saturn, the hour of Saturn. And as always, we're going to start off with our invocation to Mercury to get us started. The planet that is our podcast.
Our podcast is a planet.
Yeah, it is.
It's represented by a planet.
It's represented
He's our
by
patron planet.
Our patron planet. Or patron. I kept wanting to say patron saint, but
He can be a
it's not
saint
necessary.
if he wants.
I mean, I guess we could call Mercury a saint. I mean,
Freddie
we could also
Mercury was a
just
saint.
we could also just call him Buddha.
Yeah, Buddha. So we're just gonna pray to Buddha real quick.
Yep.
Cheers.
Cheers. Peace be upon you, Mercury, the swift messenger, the quick, the bright-minded, the eloquent, the key of tongues and the keeper of letters, the thought in motion, the clever, the gracious, the curious, full of wit, the teacher, the merchant of meaning, the patron of scribes, the friend of travelers, the carrier of the word between worlds, the agile, the dexterous, the speaker of many languages, the weaver of bridges, the great. You are the connection between mind and mind. You are the messenger of the heavens, the patron of those who seek understanding, the lamp of honest inquiry. I also ask you in the holy name of the Most High. I call you in your name in Arabic, Uthard, in Persian, Tyr, in Greek, Hermes, in Roman, Mercurius, and in India, Buddha. Let your clear light fall upon my mind and tongue. Reveal your spirit within and without, that my words may be true and kind, and our study may be fruitful, and that we might carry good tidings between every soul we meet.
You did an accent at one point.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, it's really hard to say some words without an accent. Have you ever noticed that?
I don't pay attention. I also maybe want to have a version of this that already has the we's in place, because I'd like to be speaking for both of us when I read this instead of it
You don't
being
want to
like
translate?
an I.
Oh, okay.
You know, but whatever. But so for part of the prayer it was me today, and then for the rest of it was we.
What I'm laughing about is that I have some family members who are from Europe, and I was sitting with them at dinner one day, and it was a bunch of Italians. And I asked them if it was offensive that we always make ourselves sound like Mario when we say Italian words. We're like, hey, it's me, Mario. It's the pasta. And they're like, yeah, it's 100% extremely offensive. They said that it would be like if they were in their heavy Italian accent and we're like, let's go down to the store and get some Budweiser. And when you hear them do it, it's completely ridiculous. And you realize that, yeah, we constantly are just making absolutely ridiculous accents when we're saying things, but I find it hard not to do.
Well, yeah, and yeah, and there's a theatrical component, that comes through sometimes when I'm doing the planetary prayers and stuff like that, because it does invoke a creative spirit when I'm doing planetary
Sure, that makes
prayers.
sense.
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense.
And so it's less about I'm not changing accents between names. It's more just I start to
Be playful.
Yeah, be playful. I have this Shakespearean essence and energy start rising out of me. And thus came Mercurius to the land in which he donned his caduceus to us.
I'm really mad that Devon has not found a Renaissance fair at this stage of his life, and I really want to get him involved in doing Shakespearean works on the stage at a Renaissance fair. You would fit in very well.
Cool.
They would like you a lot.
Sure.
I swear. I think it would be a good life move. It would be like a resume where you could say that you teach people how to venerate Hecate and do Shakespearean poetry on the stage simultaneously.
I mean, I'm not gonna scoff at that resume. I would definitely enjoy having that.
It's the fun resume. It's not the working 3D resume, but that's the for fun resume.
Well, I'm pretty much over having a working for 3D capitalism resume anyway. I mean, like we were talking about just last time when we were talking about restaurants and stuff like that, 90% of my resume is gone because of 2020.
Yeah, all the restaurants that he worked at just shut down.
Yeah.
They can't even call for references.
Yeah, there's the last restaurant I worked at is the only restaurant that's still open. The rest of them shut down, and they were good restaurants. That's the thing, is they were good, high quality. People loved these places, but because of just the intensity of 2020 and how hard it hit certain industries, especially restaurants where the overhead is so high and the margin of error is so thin, like, yeah, 90% of my resume has collapsed, which was one of the signs that it was time to move on.
What is the sign in the astrology for 2020? What happened inside of the stars that signified that? Could you guys see it coming? Retrospectively, was there markers for a global pandemic?
There is a article that was released in Vanity Fair, the magazine.
Vanity Fair?
Yeah.
That's not very reputable, is it?
Listen to this, though. It's so great. There was an article written in Vanity Fair in 2007 about 2020, and it mentioned famine, it mentioned disease, it mentioned social uprising. Like, it was this crazy thing that this astrologer for Vanity Fair wrote about the 2020s. And so one of the indicators that we had for it is this, well, we've talked about this before, the Jupiter-Saturn conjunctions.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Aquarius plus the ingress of Pluto into Aquarius marked this epoch of struggle, was going to be coming in.
Okay, so there was markers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We entered in.
They're watching Trump's charts, so everybody knows.
Yeah.
They're watching all the markers. They're watching the U.S.'s chart. The astrologers are on all the charts.
Yeah. If one of my teachers, my favorite teacher, Austin Kopic, he's even looking at Iran's chart for the solar ingress. And when I say the word solar ingress, I'm automatically referencing an astrology reference of the day of the spring equinox. That's when the whole world gets a new chart. So wherever you are in the world on the day of the spring equinox, that is your chart for the year.
So if you move to a different place of the world, you would have a different chart for the year? Even if you were just there for a moment?
The place where you are has that chart.
Okay.
You have your own internal chart. That's when the sun returns to your place of birth.
But you just said that wherever
return.
you are on the ingress, which is the spring equinox, you get that chart for the year.
Well, the place, that's place.
Oh, okay, that's place. So it's not really you; it's the place gets a new chart every year.
So, Portland, Oregon has a chart.
Okay.
The United States, D.C. has a chart. So every year, the place or the entity, the business, the structure, the government gets a new chart.
Do you get a new chart every year as a person?
Well, on your solar return, yeah, on your birthday.
On your birthday.
Yeah, you get a new chart. But it's not it's as the same with the entities, the governments, the churches, the institutions. It's not it's not a solo chart. You still refer everything back to the natal chart. The natal chart is the foundation of who you are. And so the Sibley chart for the United States, the July 4th, 1776, that is the root chart of the United States. So everything relates back to that chart.
On the spring equinox, would you look at your own chart as well?
Well, I would look at, it depends on how many charts you want to look at.
You look at a lot of charts, so I'm just curious. I'm curious.
So what I was doing, I haven't actually looked at Bend, Oregon's chart, because I don't have Bend, Oregon's root chart. I haven't found that yet. But when I was living in Portland, what I would do is I'd look at Portland's chart for the year on the spring equinox, and then I would look at that in comparison to my birth chart and to see how those three charts would be interacting. Because I mostly look at the solar return chart for my own personal experience, not related to where I'm living. But if I'm looking to where I'm living's chart, then I'll look at my natal chart compared to that place's solar return chart.
It's a lot of charts.
It is. You can get into it really deep of multiple charts. But the question that you always want to ask as an astrologer is this worth my time?
Yeah, why?
Yeah.
Why are we here? Why are we doing all this?
Yeah. So
speaking of which, what is the when that we are discussing right now? So we talked about the sextile and the trine that are occurring with Neptune, and that's occurring this week. We talked about that earlier in the week. Are there any updates to what's going on since we last spoke?
Well, I mean, the closest to when indicator that we have right now is that today is officially the first day of the month.
Okay, of the lunar month.
Of the lunar month.
Yes,
because
to specify.
It's the first day of the visible moon. So when the sun sets in the west today, we'll actually be able to see the moon.
Okay. And on a Gregorian, we're what day are we? Like the 16th? It's a day of Saturn, hour of Saturn for filming.
Yeah, it's the 16th day of July. Yeah, July.
So getting through the dark moon, we had the reset, we venerated Hecate, we put out a meal at the crossroads, we did all of our things. Coming into the new month, because it's now a new lunar month, what is special about the first day of the month? Is there anything that people should look for? Because that happens all throughout your year. You're having new moons all throughout the year. You're having full moons all throughout the year. We've talked about doing different rituals and ceremonies for the full moon and for the new moon or the dark moon, if you want to call it that. What about on the first day of the month? Is that a special day, or is it just back to regular programming for a little while?
Well, historically, funny enough, I
don't like Funyuns, and Mabel gets mad at me. She thinks it's ridiculous. I don't like
Mabel's
Funyuns.
one of Ezekiel's daughters.
Yeah. People figure that out. The main thing is that I don't think they're real food. I think they're just styrofoam with onion powder on them.
I hope they're styrofoam. But
I really do think they are. Like at a certain point when you eat Cheetos, when you've been away from them for a while, you realize that there's not really that much like structural, like molecular integrity to the food that you're eating.
I love crunchy, airy food, though. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
popcorn and stuff.
Sure, well, popcorn. Yeah, popcorn's a good natural option. Yeah, Cheetos I don't think are made of the same substance as popcorn.
Yeah. No.
What are Cheetos even made of?
Supposedly cheese.
Cheese?
They're cheesy.
They're made of actual.
I don't know. I don't actually know.
We'll have to look.
But what I do know is the first day of the month. The first moon of the month, the first visible moon of the month, is where our word for calendar comes from. It's called the calends, and is where the term calendar comes from, and has to do with paying your debts. And so when the first moon is visible of the month, that's when everybody go out. It's the first of the month. Get up, get up.
You ever heard that song?
No.
Bone Thugs and Harmony. You've never heard First of the Month by Bone Thugs and Harmony? We should put a clip of that in.
We should.
It's an amazing song.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue. So you have to pay all your debts.
Yeah. And so this is...
Can I say that to my landlord? So like I don't pay him on the first of the Gregorian. I'm waiting for the first day of the visible moon, actually.
I think you should. Yeah, you should
We should see how it
renegotiate
goes.
your contract.
Yeah. Technically, I work on a different system. It is a free
It's a
state.
religious.
I am sovereign. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I can choose how I want. And I'm working on both a lunar schedule on a monthly and an hourly basis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as I'm writing the details of the cult of Selene's Gateway.
You're not calling it a cult, are you? Don't. You're not allowed to call it a cult.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Don't.
Sorry,
No.
So Selene's Gateway, I'll make sure that in the religious text it talks about being able to utilize the actual moon for when debts are paid and bills and stuff like that, so that people can throw a wrench into capitalism.
Yeah, it is fun to do that. I feel like you're just going to be making it harder for yourself on certain days, but I would like to see how it goes. So for debts are being paid, what else? Just typical renewal stuff?
Well, yeah, renewal stuff, but the thing that I wanted to anchor that to is that every culture's timekeeping system is in the past has been protected and cared for by the priest class. And so I think that it's important for people to understand that the roots of our calendar is based on debt.
Yeah, I feel like the root of our lives is based on debt.
I know, but that's like it to me, like knowing the underlayer current that's attached to a system that you're a part of. To me, that's a really important thing. And part of like one of the core roots of my spiritual practice is, releasing myself from these tethers of cultural imprints that we're born into.
Have you ever done that? Just ritually said out loud, I release any attachments that I have or any agreements that I've made or things like that?
Yeah. 100, 10 for 10 can recommend.
Yeah, it works really well. I've actually burned money too.
Yep.
Not that it's, always, I think that's technically illegal, so I can't recommend for other people to do it. But it is very freeing at a certain point to get over it and to start moving back. I was just talking about with Devon, though, that it's like a constant reattachment. It's ridiculous. I have this thing in my life where I lose things constantly, and I'm very organized. If you come and you hang out with me, I have homes for everything, and it's like things just go disappearing constantly. And I won't care about them for 6 months, but then when I realize it's gone, all of a sudden I get upset about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an attachment. It's like a constant thing of reattaching. But unattaching from the debt, what do you think that is? At what point did debt become the norm?
Well, our system of time is based on the Roman calendar. So that's what our system of timekeeping in debt is based on the Julian calendar.
So what
48
Rome,
BCE.
though? Because, Rome's 2,200 years, right?
48 BCE
48 BCE.
is when our
Okay.
calendar started.
So, and now that I was just listening, the majority are saying that the whole Byzantine Empire thing is ridiculous. It's just the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
All the way through.
All the way through, yeah.
It never really split off. So, but you're talking before, like way before it was ruptured in that way.
Yeah. Before it was even Christianized. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's interesting. Money is an interesting concept because historically the barter system makes it so you have to, in a way, have integrity and be a good player. When you start involving money, the level of integrity can decrease because you're able to leverage your stored energy, your money that you have. And it is, in a weird way, a very freeing, but also very negative component of our existence. Like without money, we wouldn't have all these wonderful technological advances that we have. But at the same time, it just creates a system where our entire society lives in debt at this point. We have the power of gods and a tremendous amount of debt.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw a comedy reel that said something like the whole earth is in like $3.4 trillion in debt.
Well, technically isn't like $20 trillion missing just off of the books from the U.S. government, Fed?
I mean, I don't know.
I don't know if I'm pretty sure it's trillion. Yeah, I think it's about $20 to $23 trillion is just unaccounted for when they run the books. So the Fed hasn't passed an audit since like 2006. It might even be further back. They're audited every year and they fail their audit, and it's just not talked about. But they're missing like over $20 trillion that's just unaccounted for.
Not surprised.
But that,
I mean, I'm not surprised.
it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we were only in 3.4 trillion of debt, I feel like we could handle that pretty quickly.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. I wonder what the actual thing. I think that's the people, though. I think that's what the. Anyway, regardless, I don't have anything to
Not the
back up that
corporations.
statement. Like I said, it was a comedy reel, so it was like, what is the Earth? What is the whole Earth in debt to? Was the question of the comedy reel. Like,
Well, we're in
who
debt
who do
time.
we owe? We owe nothing.
We have literally lived our entire existence in one form of debt or another. You have to owe something to be able to get something back almost always. It's immediately...
Well, that's a belief system.
Well, that's what I mean. On a societal level, that's how we're raised. That's the beginning, and a lot of people's end is they start there with just a tremendous amount of debt. So the time system, though, when you're talking about it being related to debt, that's including the lunar system.
The Julian calendar is where the lunar system broke off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Explain.
Well, Julius Caesar in 46 BCE broke the lunar calendar so they could no longer use it.
Pow.
Yeah, he broke it over his knee or like shattered it on the ground.
You wouldn't break it over. It's a stone tablet. You wouldn't break it over your knee.
Well, maybe that's what the myth.
Yeah.
I am Julius Caesar.
It's like Paul Bunyan type stuff.
Yeah.
He was probably a very small man. We were much smaller back then.
Probably. Yeah, and so his thought process on it, or the story that we're told, from time is that his political adversaries were using the lunar calendar as a way to shorten his reign by speeding up the years passing by discluding certain months.
Yeah, and I understand that. My question is, the lunar calendar, though, on the first of the month you're paying debt, is it still, are you accounting and connecting that we're still focusing on debt, or why did the Julian Gregorian calendar turn into a debt system versus the lunar calendar?
Well, yeah, and so I guess what I'm pointing to is that we by detaching the calendar And not only that, but we also, the Julian calendar also solidified when January 1st was, instead of it being a spring event, that's when it became a winter event.
It is a little weird that the year starts in the middle of a dead winter.
Yeah, and it's because that's when the politicians would come into power, and that's still kind of like the point of the 1st of January in our system today.
Technically, in the summer hemisphere, though, they're starting in the middle of summer.
Well, yeah, but January, like if you look back at 2021 and January 6th happened, what they were doing in January
turning it
6th
over.
was like turning over
It's
power.
all governmental.
Yeah. And so that's where it all like roots. That's where that calendar system all roots back to is that separating from the moon and then attaching it to just a mathematical solar specific only system. And so that is the last time we had a true time changing system for the calendar system that we use. The Gregorian calendar just reset the dates. Like they erased 13 days in order to make sure that the calendar like realigned with the seasons because it was starting to drift. But all in all, it's still the same calendar system attached to debt, attached to a time system that's no longer attached to the Earth, Sun, Moon relationship. It's all just mathematical.
Well, I think more so it's just non-experiential. And the reality with both time and temperature are that they're experiential. And so it's actually kind of interesting. We created laboratories at a certain point, and we began creating situations and controlled experiences which we do not experience as phenomenon. In our daily lived life. And from that, we got the law of thermodynamics, which is cool, right? And so far, as we can tell, has been unbreakable with our physics. And from that, we were able to adapt temperature, and all these other things. But the reality is that time is a placeholder that mathematically, we don't have a proof for it. And not that anything is ever really truly proven, but we don't have a very good model for it.
Yeah.
We just use a model that makes our lives function. Because we have to get things done.
Yeah, we use a model for time that allows us to uphold a narrative by a historical record, and then project into the future a desired outcome. But it's all unified under this like larger narrative structure of how to access and employ and work inside of time. And the main thing about the way that we utilize time from my perspective is that it's in order to hold other people accountable.
Oh, yeah.
Schedules, workers,
you have
time,
somewhere to be.
Debt. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, especially when we started introducing electricity and when Heinz Ketchup became the first overnight electrified illuminated factory. We completely eliminated the restraint of sunlight from our lived experience working life.
I used to run night shift. I had a company that had night shift. It's very beneficial to be making money while you're sleeping.
Yeah, right.
It is.
Yeah, and it also did one of the benefits of electricity is they did have night factories back then, but it also there were a lot more factory fires.
You just recently started working late night shifts. How do you feel your body's responding?
I've always kind of been a night owl. I think it's why I was drawn towards astrology in the first place. Is that I don't struggle with being up late, but I think I'd rather be looking at the stars than doing other things at night. I do appreciate the labor that I am doing, especially since it's for a friend.
Yeah, I was just curious. I was curious because it's something that's discussed often is whether or not even being up that late is proper for the system. The more that you hear people talk about the circadian rhythms and the natural dineural patterns of humans, and that some people think it's very negative on your hormonal system and your endocrine system in particular to be awake late at night versus following a more natural rhythm. So I was just curious what your thoughts are on that.
Well, astrologically speaking, through the system of astrological health that used to be more of like a current foundation in our systems, different people are geared different ways. I think that we're always looking for a unified system for everything.
It doesn't exist. That's what I've realized.
Yeah,
It just
and
doesn't.
I think that yeah, I think some people shouldn't be up late at night, but I also think that other people just naturally are more attuned in the night. And
Are there signs that are supposed to be up more at night?
well, I mean, an astrological chart, you have day charts and you have night charts.
I was born at night, so does that mean that I technically would like to be up more at night?
It would be interesting to see if you could naturally function more easily at night.
I used to, yeah.
But that's definitely a like personal experiment to each their own, not medical.
Maybe when I'm
advice.
older. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to like being awake at night a lot more. I used to like almost come alive at night. Like it felt like I didn't really wake up. My mind didn't really wake up until the sun went down. But nowadays with my children, it's just not viable.
Well, yeah. Then that's what I was gonna say too. Is that like our culture is solar focused still, regardless of the fact that we're a 24-hour culture now instead of just a sun.
I
or
do
night
love
culture.
24-hour cities. It's really fun when you go to a city and it's just wide awake all night.
I mean, and that it gives you the opportunity to explore both night and day.
Devin's going to build Burning Man.
True that.
He's going to be awake all night doing that for a month.
It's so funny how controversial Burning Man is. I
think it's the sex tent. I think the sex tent is what makes everybody that's what I always hear people talk about. Is there actually an orgy tent?
Yeah, there is.
Okay. Do people have maquitas?
I don't know.
Like a
I've never
Sawzall.
actually been to the.
You've never been to the
orgy tent, no.
You've never stopped by. That's the first stop. I would have to. I mean, come on. Do you never stop by the orgy tent?
So my friend group is always questioning the efficacy of Burning Man as a whole due to its environmental impact.
I'm interested in the orgy tent. I just want to watch. The people watching is fascinating. Like, who's showing up for this? It's probably not who you want to see in the orgy tent.
I would disagree with that. I think that well, first of all, the beautiful thing about Burning Man is that it is all walks of life, all age ranges of all different people. People bring their kids now. People have been going to Burning Man so long that maybe they've met and gotten married at Burning Man.
Yeah,
and
no.
had kids.
Yeah, I get it.
Kids and people are in their 70s and 80s going to Burning Man and stuff like that. Like it's literally got like a whole culture.
Some probably really cool 80-year-old dudes in shimmery outfits
and completely butt ass naked.
Oh yeah, I mean that's fine.
Yeah, but no, and it is truly its own, and it doesn't matter how many influencers, because that's one of the more modern things about it is that a lot of influencers like go there and film it. It doesn't matter how many influencers go and film it.
I've never really watched film of it.
Everybody's experience is completely unique.
Yeah, I've just never watched film of it, and I am just being extreme when I'm saying the orgy tent, but that's where I hear people complain, and I think that some people don't really understand the beauty of the chaotic experience, that it's not a set experience. You're going to have whatever you have. You're following the Dharma for that moment. You're entering a portal. And whenever you're just straight entering a portal for 7 days. And I've never been. I'm excited to go at some point. And
you want to know my favorite part about Burning Man?
Yeah, what is it?
The temple.
Is a temple?
There's a temple. They build a temple every year,
mm-hmm.
and it's dedicated to grief.
Okay, we like that. I've been doing a lot of grief work. Have you done the grief ceremony? Have you done the Sambofu Some West African grief ceremony with sit and sitter?
Definitely have not done that. No.
Oh man, it's wonderful. It's incredible. It's really powerful. They do
it. Is
it.
that somebody here local that you're talking about?
They do it all over. So Sambofu Some was a woman who was born in a West African tribe, and her husband, I believe, came over and began sharing a technology of community grief that they adapted in the West African culture. She wrote several books, and she trained many individuals all over the West Coast, specifically in the Pacific Northwest. And it is a community grief ceremony. No medicine. It's just the medicine, no plant medicine. It would be a better way to say that. It is a sit and sitter scenario where you go through, you create a container, and then you sing and you dance and you grieve, and somebody holds space for you while you grieve. That's a very nutshell version. You could look up Sambofu Some. Her books are really, really wonderful. And they do it here in Bend every year. I've done it twice, and about 100 people over at Unity. They hold it at Unity, and it's 3 days long.
Oh, cool.
And it's extremely powerful. And they talk about multiple types of grief that are pretty bonkers. So ancestral grief, like in the womb grief, all these things that you first hear it when you're going into it. And if you're not from a background that necessarily has a tremendous amount of experience with a phenomenon of that nature, you might be saying you're full of shit. You know, what are you talking about? Why are they bringing up all these very obscure types of grief? And then when you go through and you have this experience, it's very common that you have these types of grief come through, and you build massive altars and you ask the ancestors to come. And I experienced one of the most interesting ones this last year was just getting into these loop patterns. So I would begin grieving and weeping, and then I would be saying things, but it's nothing that I remember. Does that make sense? It's nothing that I ever remember like experiencing, but it was extreme in the emotional response I was having at that time. And one of them was I was just going, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And these things can kind of come out of you. But grief, I found, is one of the most psychedelic experiences that you can really have, and you unlock things inside of your life. And I've also found on the other side of the bridge of a lot of the grief work that I have been doing and continue to do is a tremendous amount of personal sovereignty, freedom, healing from traumas. So that's incredible. Has it always been tuned to the grief for the temple at Burning Man?
Yeah. Yeah, ever since they started the temple, which was in the early aughts, is when, Burning Man started in the early 90s, but they started building the temple in the early aughts. And it's always been dedicated to grief.
Wow.
And it's a really beautiful sovereign space. A different group builds it every year. Every temple is beautiful, and people always bring, maybe somebody that they're grieving from that year or that they're continuing to grieve. They bring pictures, they bring mementos and stuff, and it's so beautiful and powerful. And so last year when I went to Burning Man, I actually participated by volunteering as a temple guardian. And the temple guardians, our job is to hold space for people and just to like be near people that are like weeping and stuff like that, but then also to like man the perimeter and to make sure that people come in understanding to be respectful, because Burning Man is a giant party. And so like our job on the perimeter is just to be like, hey, no cameras, and so forth and so on, to make sure that everybody's respecting the space.
That'd be an intense place to be tripping.
Yeah. And then our job also as temple guardians is to man the perimeter as it burns. And so while I'm sitting there, sitting at the perimeter, making sure nobody crosses while the giant thing is burning, I'm watching everybody's faces like weeping. And
you're a witness.
The crazy thing too is it's like 10,000 people completely silent the entire time the thing is burning, and it's like cool. 30 to 45 minutes straight of just silence.
Bye grief.
And it's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's really lovely.
Yeah, and so that's just like a piece of Burning Man that people don't know or think about when they think about the giant party in the desert. That it is a whole culture. Like it is a completely like. Any construct of a culture that you would be looking for, like it's in Burning Man, and they build it in 2 weeks, have the culture, and then collapse it, and it disappears like a sand painting.
It's pretty fascinating.
Yeah,
I'll go at some point. Yeah,
it's all right.
Well, I mean, I think there's people who like it. So I've never really felt too drawn to go to it previously, and it's like anything else in life. You should feel drawn to it. And I think that some of the partying and how intensive some of the partying was historically kind of turned me away. And now at this stage of my life, I've just begun to realize that it's people having their own experience and that I get to go be my own character right inside of the show and to spread my own light and my own love. And I think back in the day, I would hear a lot of negativity about the festival, honestly, from a lot of people. Yeah. And I allowed that to taint my picture, thinking that for some reason, if I arrived at a location, I would just immediately feel negative, which is dumb. My experience has always been that you are making your own experience. And so the people who are having negative experiences are usually creating that negative experience for themselves.
Yeah. I mean, it's, if you're coming from a space that has not been inside, you're coming from a perspective that's purely anthropological. It's making an assessment about a thing without experiencing it yourself.
Yeah.
And 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 I'm not here to tell anybody that everybody has to go to Burning Man, and people can definitely be against it, and that's totally, that's
That's
totally
the part
valid.
about everybody getting to be valid.
Yeah, every opinion is valid, and even the ones we deeply disagree with. But it's going to be fun to go build it. I've been wanting to go build it for a long time, and interestingly enough, to take it back to the like kind of the calendar construct and the economical function is, even though Burning Man exists within the system of capitalism, because everything does at this point, when you're there inside of that culture, it's a gift economy, and you're not expected to have money, and people just give stuff to each other all the time. And
Yeah, I'd have to experience what that even felt like.
yeah, exactly. And that's like, there's a bar culture, there's a bar scene, and you just go with your cup, and you don't have to buy any drinks. People just come and set up bars and pour drinks. Like it's a gift economy.
I guess the guy who's pouring drinks is probably well taken care of at other areas of the camp.
Yeah, I mean everybody brings their own food. Everybody tries to be radically self supported, but then also there's just so much sharing, so much abundance of sharing that there's no lack.
So, Sambofu Somé, by the way, the woman on Metaphysical Loopback that brought over the technology, she ended up passing away. And from what I heard during the ceremony from one of the facilitators who learned from her, was that she had begun getting these massive tumors or things like that, and was, in her belief, adapting them from the healing work that she was doing. And so she eventually told her students that she was leaving, but she was fine with it because she was going to go to the other side. And many moments you can feel her presence in the ceremonies. They do them all over. They do them in Portland. They do them in Eugene. They do them for women. They do them for men. They do them for non-binary. They do them for everybody. And so they're an absolutely wonderful technology to tap into. And it's interesting with that, they also do a prosperity ceremony. So for them in their culture, and I've never gotten to do that one, in their culture, the grief ceremony is just what you do before the prosperity ceremony. And I want to do the prosperity ceremony because that makes a lot of sense to me. It's you're making space and then you're calling in that prosperity, right? It's the other side of the coin. After the healing, you begin to actually claim, and gain the benefit from it.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And that makes, and that's actually a really good tie back to the moon in a way, because in a very direct way, not in a way, because when people are thinking about the moon and the moon cycle, often they're talking about like setting intentions and things of that nature and wanting to manifest something into their lives. And you have to make space in order to bring something in.
Yeah, you got to be doing this stuff.
Like you can't. How crowded do you want your house? How crowded do you want your space?
So recently, within the past few years, I've had the experience of really going through and actively cleaning my existence out, donating a lot of things, getting rid of a lot of things. And through the process of cleaning out cabinets, I have released and had these insightful moments where I've really healed from things. And I joke that like your childhood trauma is hiding in the closet beneath the stairs that's jam full of shit. But in a way it is, because the work that you do in the process of self-love and just your environment, it's not that like one-time clean out. It's the restructuring of your existence where you're saying from here on out, I'm no longer going to be holding on to this shit. And our experience is so three-phase. It's spiritual, cognitive, and physical, right? And it just gets from subtle on the spiritual to subtle on the cognitive to more gross on the physical. And our issues on the interior first come into our bodies and then come into our environment, right? And we just create in our environment all around it. And so when you're doing these different types of intentions and these different types of resets, if you don't have a clear cognitive space, then how are you using your intentions powerfully? Which is if you're not able to concentrate and if you're in a tremendous amount of pain or your environment is extremely dirty. People say they can concentrate in that environment. I don't really have the experience that that's true. I mean, you can to a degree, but it's hard when everything is in disarray to be centered in all moments. Not that you can't find the center, but living in that level of, chaos.
There's, but there's how do I like to say this? I like to say that it is definitely it is definitely a way to live. I was actually thinking about this about my chart recently, yesterday, but the question isn't, can you live in disarray? The question is
it actually disarray?
Are you holding on to things that you don't need to hold on to anymore? Do you have projects that you can just like let go of?
Yeah.
Like,
I was just saying this before our podcast that I have like my life is so overfull right now that I'm really trying to get rid of more things. And I find that getting rid of things, I'm always happier. And it's not always just physical things, but just I have too much going on in moments, and I start collecting.
and so there's this part of astrology, there's this part of everybody's chart where your rising sign dictates the angularity construct that you're associated with. And so part of my astrology work is trying to help people, because once again, back to the statement of like the way that we structure culture and society is that we try to make like a one box fits all for everybody. And whether it be health or, how you should live your life, where you should be going.
Which you can't. Everybody's so different.
Yeah. And so, but one of the ways that astrology kind of like groups us into three categories is cardinal, fixed, and mutable. So cardinal is like this beginning of an action, fixed is a sustaining of an action, and then mutable is a changing of an action.
That's all I want.
And then, so what I like to tell people is that, what our culture wants or tries to fit us in the box of is consistency, reliability, and predictability.
Literally, that's all I ever wanted in my life, was to be reliable.
And the thing is, though, is that that's great for the fixed energy that people are born into. So this is Leo, Taurus, Scorpio, and Aquarius. But
are you saying in general or for my chart?
In general, this is the general structure. But however, you're a cardinal rising.
Yeah.
So you're a Libra rising. So cardinal is Libra, Aries, Cancer, and Capricorn.
Okay, what does that mean?
So the cardinal is an energy that likes to, that's the beginning side. So the cardinal energy likes to start things.
Constantly. I just want to start new things. I just always like to start, and then I get bored and I want to move on to something new.
Yeah, exactly. And then mutability is probably what you're imagining as living in the chaos thing. The mutability people are the ones that are able to take a project and transition it into a different thing.
Yeah, and it's not always disarray. People are so different. Their environment. It's interesting because it's not a matter of it being organized in a certain way. Because I know so many creatives who I go into their environment and it seems chaotic, but it's very workable and it's a perfect environment for them.
Yeah, and it's not just creatives either. But so when I'm talking about the mutables, just to finish the structure, I'm talking about Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. And Virgo is highly known for their organizational skills, but every Virgo has a unfinished list that they're like desperately trying to get to. Even though they're very organized people, there's a place that they always wish they were more organized in. But what I like to tell these signs, these structures, is, like, because there's a cultural narrative that every format is kind of fighting against. And so the cardinal signs are always fighting against this cultural narrative of why do you have to be changing? Why do you have to start new projects all the time? Why can't you continue doing the thing?
It's constant. Yeah, I was a serial entrepreneur at a certain point. And
then the fixed signs are constantly told, like, why are you always stuck in a rut? Why can't you do something
change?
New? And then mutable signs are like, why can't you be stable? Like, why can't we find blah, blah, blah. And so that's one of the first things that I like to approach to people, is like to help them heal themselves from not fitting into that cultural narrative.
And realizing just kind of you are how you are.
Yeah. And it's okay. And it's better that you embrace that side of yourself instead of trying to fit the cultural narrative that you think that you should. So when I was looking at my chart,
that's why events and doing like contracts are very interesting to me.
Yeah.
I like working on things for periods, like really intensively.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then like moving on to something different.
Yeah. You'd love the Hollywood industry because every movie is a business.
Basically.
That's
that's why events are interesting to me. Yeah, like concerts are really interesting to me.
Yeah. And you want to be doing like men's groups and
retreats and things like that. So it's like creating a container for a period and then collapsing it again, and then you're doing the background work. Because the fun thing is you can be doing multiple things at once, so you can be supporting multiple different projects through the same administrative footprint, like on a day-to-day basis with your hours, because you're just really, and a lot of that stuff is planning. So you're just like answering emails, directing, kind of taking threads and redirecting. And so you can be building to different culmination points, and then you're kind of just setting up a life where you have this culmination, then this culmination, and it can be diverse and dynamic. It doesn't always have to be the same thing. And so you're getting a lot of diversity in not only your working environment, which I enjoy, but also your ability to help people.
Yeah.
Because you're getting to interact with a lot of different people in a lot of different ways rather than just a standard 9 to 5.
Yeah, and you're also able to cultivate an experience that becomes a contained memory for the person.
Well, all we have left is experience. AI is going to do everything else. Not everything, but a lot of jobs are going to have a restructuring with these new AI models. And so the human experience is one of the most valuable things that we can now give. What?
Oh,
That's where I look at it, you know?
Yeah, I know that there's just a lot of I think a human experience that a lot of people could enjoy learning about is going and actually mining the minerals that we use for these products.
Oh, I know. It's ridiculous. It's really bad.
Yeah.
It's really bad. There's been reports on it. I mean, they've talked about it, and it's kind of been talked about ad nauseum that they're just ignoring it, that we're getting all these blood minerals from China, primarily out of South Africa. And they did talk about putting... Yeah, it's very, very bad. And you can look at reportings on it. You can watch videos, and there's women with children strapped to their back in these pits and sandals mining lithium. And so they did talk about putting a mine in Idaho. I guess they found mineral deposits, and it's strange. I'm not in general advocating for our mining of rare earth minerals. I think that the storage route is the wrong route. We're gonna run out of sources for it. It's going to happen.
It's the capitalist wet dream.
Yes. And so just want to say that. But if we are mining it, then I do advocate for us using mines that we control, that we can make sure that employees and workers are having good environments, hopefully, and be able to make jobs. I know it's kind of a weird gray area, but in a way I would prefer us to be mining it here inside of the US, where we could at least maybe get some coverage on what's occurring, rather than just completely taking it from these low income third world countries like we've done over and over and over again. And so they did find deposits in Idaho because it's the volcanic ranges. The Cascades are actually a perfect place to find lithium because of the volcanic range. Why?
Well, I don't want the Cascades to get mined. By the way, speaking of lithium mining
That's weird.
And things of that nature,
I'm not making a strong stand by it, by the way. I'm just saying it's an interesting thought experiment to really have.
No, I just want to shout out if you're in a Saturn year and you would like to donate to a fund that would help benefit your relationship with Saturn, I highly suggest Friends of Red Mountain. It's an indigenous group that is trying to help protect their ancestral lands from becoming a lithium mine.
Wow. Well, good to know.
Yeah. So, yeah, Friends of Red Mountain. Highly recommend donating.
Is that the one that they found?
No, this one's in Southern Oregon.
Okay. That might be the one I was referencing.
It might be. No, it might be. I don't know. It's on the Southern Oregon, California, Nevada border area.
Well, we'll put that in the episode. And we're at a point now where I pulled the card today. So Devon didn't have the chance to pull the card.
Yeah, we wanted to break the cycle of me repeating the card pulls. We didn't want to give it another chance. But I just wanted to say one more thing about the angles. Is that one of the things about the when is that every angle is experiencing one of the outers disrupting their angular house in one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
So the Cardinals are experiencing Neptune on the angle
right now.
Yeah,
which is
and will last for 11 years.
For 11 years.
11 years. Yep. It's in our. We're both Libras, so
Yeah.
it's in our 7th house. So this is
Which is
great
our one-on-one conversation. So
one-on-one
I'm just going to be having
conversation.
psychedelic one-on-one conversations for the next 11 years.
Yeah, as long as you don't pick up a heroin addiction or
I
something.
already
like
did that.
Okay,
I
good.
did that
Well,
phase.
yeah, let's keep on this
I was a
track
heroin addict when I was 18.
Highly recommend Buddhism and other spiritual practices
I do
for all the cardinal signs right now.
Really?
Neptune's in Aries for 11 years.
I'm a practicing Buddhist.
And then for the mutable, or let's go cardinal, fixed, mutable. For the fixed signs, y'all are experiencing Pluto for the next 20 years on your angles. You and I just got done having Pluto on our angles from 2008 until 2020.
What's Pluto?
Pluto is the unearthing disruptive force. It's a Dionysian kind of energy.
Yep. Okay. So have fun with that. Fixed signs.
And then for the mutable signs, y'all are experiencing Uranus for 7 years.
Uranus.
And so the sudden insights and sudden bursts are going to be
For 7?
happening on your angles.
Have fun with that.
Yeah.
So the mutable ones are the ones that already they're moving the energy constantly. They're not very stable, and now they're going to be having spontaneous instability.
Yeah. For the for Virgo risings, it's going to be a disruptive energy that's going to be affecting their careers. For Sagittarius risings, it's going to be creating insights and disruptions in their relationships.
Disruptions are not always bad, by the way. It sounds like a soothsayer when you're sitting here saying this, like all negative. But disruption is not always negative. It can be positive.
Yeah, it's a disruption. It's takes you out of your
a different
element.
word than disruption. Disruption is a very negative connotation.
I mean, I like the word disruption.
Do you?
But I'm a negative person?
Not really, though. You're quite positive. I think you have some anarchist tendencies, and you're a punk, and so you have these like dark side to you.
You know, you're not the only person to point this out. I have another friend who's an astrologer who was helping me edit for a little while. She's fantastic, but she's like, why is everything about like bondage and chains?
Yeah,
and,
it's just
like,
so dark.
All my writing is so
yeah, it's just dark.
Which
I get it. I've sent you I've ever showed you my poetry. Like it's not that I don't do dark stuff. I have a lot of dark things, but he tends to lean towards that. I tend to go more neutral.
Yeah. And then for Pisces, this is going to be happening in your 4th house of home.
Uh-huh.
And
so everyone's getting divorced.
Well, or they're starting different types of families.
Look out, Pisces.
Or having a sudden or having a sudden movement to a new location. That's another thing about 4th house changes is you could take all your life up and just like, I'm going to go live in Spain now.
I remember when I could fit my life in the back of a Volvo.
Yeah, that's not possible now. I've seen all the things you have.
Yeah, I mean, like this table.
Yeah, this table alone.
I can fit that.
And then for Gemini rising, it's happening in your 1st house. So your identity is what's going to become shifted.
Don't
How about
date
shifted
any
instead of disrupted?
Geminis. Shifted's better.
Shifting?
Have you ever seen the hot to cool chart?
Don't
on
date
YouTube?
Gemini. Is that what you just sung into the mic? Look, it's something that Ezekiel doesn't know about astrology talk is Gemini already gets a lot of flack in the dating world.
I'm sorry.
I love Gemini. I love y'all. You're fantastic, and people don't understand.
I'm just doing it for fun. I'm sorry. Please don't be insulted. It's just funny. So we do have.
So what's the card?
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready for the card.
It's the 7 of Wands.
7 of Wands. Really, John Henry, huh?
Mm-hmm. Do you want
it? This is hilarious because this was the card that I got for my dark moon ritual of energy that's coming in for this month. Okay. So I still can't get away from the cards that I draw. Ezekiel drew this one.
Yeah, I will just take it though. Take it for this situation. Don't relate it to your other one.
It's just hard not to because it's the card pull I did for the whole month.
Yeah, well, it's fine.
I know. Anyway, so the 7 of Wands. 7 of Wands is a card that represents the sustained victory. So the cards often will tell a story in a linear order. And so in the 5 of Wands, we have a competition. In the 6 of Wands, we gain a victor. Mm-hmm. And the Seven of Wands,
He's still winning.
the Seven of Wands is the defending champion. So, it's like, returning to defend your title. It's you've achieved.
We had the Nine of
something.
Wands earlier as well on another episode, didn't we not?
I don't think so. I think we had the Five of Wands.
I had the Nine of Wands, and it was in relation to my August 23rd event because I was going to. It was a personal poll.
Oh yeah,
because the Nine of Wands is like reaping the benefit, and it's all playful.
Yeah, well, the Nine of Wands is a different part of the storyline.
No, it wasn't an episode because we were talking about Dumbledore.
Oh, that's right. Well, the Nine of Wands is about sustaining, defending, whereas this is like that's more like protecting the home turf, and this is about protecting the championship.
Okay.
So that's if I'm continuing with the sports analogy, that's what that.
Who's the champion?
Well, I think so. To me, this is really focusing on a point of energy that I've been dedicating a lot of time to. And so this is the third decan of Leo. The third decan of Leo contains our dear leader's ascendant.
Oh, this is Trump's?
Yeah, this is Trump's ascendant card.
Okay.
And, it's funny because the Seven of Wands usually depicts somebody who's like standing on a hill, like fighting off a bunch of like.
What's that dude's name who used to say winning with the tiger? Used to do a lot of cocaine. Charlie.
Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Charlie Sheen the seven? Is he a Seven of Wands character?
Oh, I remember him having some sort
winning.
of like.
Winning.
I can't remember his chart.
Okay, you should look it up for fun.
Absolutely, but the thing about the Seven of Wands energy is that it can create a person who just always feels the need to like sustain that winning mentality and like fighting off anybody who challenges it and can get into the territory of like delusional like success. Like I'm still winning, even though I'm clearly not winning. I'm still winning.
Charlie Sheen.
And Trump has Mars here, and so Mars adds to that like competitive nature, right? And this is a decan that Mars does really well in this period of the zodiac. And so what I've been focusing a lot of my time and energy on is preparing people for the eclipse that's happening in this space.
When?
And so that's August 12th.
Oh yeah, that's my change date thing.
Yeah, and so the August 12th solar eclipse in Leo is happening in this decan, and I highly recommend, because there's generally always a lot of like hoopla and like content generated around fear around eclipses when the eclipse cycles come in.
They're big in my chart.
And I attract eclipse people. I'm an eclipse magnet. But what I'm trying to get around to is that I do think that this is going to be an important turning point. And what I mean by that is that the last time we had this eclipse number 126 in our cycle was during the 2008 period. Mm-hmm. And so in 2008, we had the big shift. We had the homeowners crisis. Mm-hmm. We had Obama coming in as a completely different style of like leadership mm-hmm. from the Bush era. Like 2008 was a pretty big shift for our general culture, mm-hmm. As U.S. citizens. And so I think that this is also the beginning of the South Node Leo eclipses. So Leo is a sign that represents leadership mm-hmm. and solar figures like kings and managers and CEOs and stuff like that. So that's what this card is like reminding me of is to have people aware of the eclipse that's coming, not in a like fearful way, but in a like
get ready, in
a like let's start this new cycle. We're in an election year.
I thought the world was going to end on an eclipse one year. I was wholly convinced.
Eclipses are generally associated with
I had everything stocked. I had weapons armed.
Was this 2017? Which eclipse was this?
No, this is like 2023, 2. I don't remember which one.
Interesting.
Yeah,
if it was
convinced.
2023 or 2022, it's funny because that would have been in your resource axis. So
Yeah, I was really worried about how many toothbrushes I was going to have. It starts getting really stressful when you're figuring out how long soap lasts, you know. It takes a while. My mind would just run on it. I'd just be up at night just thinking about like, oh, I could do this, do this. And the thing is, so what I've learned as I've gone along is if you're like me and you struggle with rapid thoughts, I have to learn how to live with my mind and how to train my mind. And you can train your mind. And I would just run on thoughts. And I adapted the note taking. So I would just write it down and then I'd just make a list. And even if the list is irrelevant of just some fantastical BS that's running in my brain, it at least shuts off. But I used to just I'd calculate the amount
of great way to externalize it.
Yeah, well, it can stop it. I would be calculating the amount of toothbrushes like a dozen times in a day. Does that make sense? I'd be like, wait, how many toothbrushes do I need again? Yeah, probably fine. I don't know, but like, why?
No, and I'm sorry for laughing.
No, you can. It's funny.
It's funny, but it's also like, you know, a mental health thing that people struggle with, and anxiety and buildup of anxiety.
And it's not that
like
uncommon, dude. Like when you actually start talking to people, it's like there's a societal anxiety that's prevalent, especially inside of the male population, that drives this entire undercurrent of prepping. You know, there's an entire prepping, and in a lot of ways, it's completely okay and normal to have preparations for your family, but it can be very taxing on your energy system, dude. It's a lot of thinking.
Yeah. And especially since we live in a culture that's designed to, you know, produce lack as a form of reproducing the economy.
And then you start going down the rabbit hole, just becoming a survivalist. Because you're like, the reality is I can't really ever prep enough. So I just have to become a survivalist if I'm going to survive.
See, and I thought I was going to be one of those.
You would be a great survivalist YouTube video guy.
I thought I was going to be one of those like, oh yeah, I'm going to live in the space. I'm going to live in the house that has the things that like people come to me for. You know,
I was getting a solar
like
powered, I had a solar powered well going. Like I was ready to exist. I had like 75,000 gallons of water.
Well, I had a whole, we learned canning and had our own like
we were ready to go.
System.
I had sheep.
And I have, you know, I'm a butcher, so I had the ability to like process animals and stuff like that in the basement.
I was never that great at it.
A full butcher shop.
In the basement?
Yeah, in the basement.
Why?
I could make sausages. I could make.
We would have been great.
I still have all these skills. I just don't have any of the tools.
Yeah, we would have been great with each other at that time. Yeah. Okay, so we're over an hour. Is there anything else that we want to touch on, or loop back on, or reference before we check out? Because I got a wedding to be at.
No, I don't really. Well, I guess the thing that I want to say once about the lunar cycle, just to bring us back to the calendar, back to the moon, is that as the moon grows in light and it starts approaching the full moon, what I think people should think about is treating it like an in-breath. Think of the moon gaining light as gaining energy, like you're gaining energy. So try to utilize it as a time of gaining resources. Don't spend money during this period of time. Like hold in money, hold in resources, hold in your energy, but plan for the second half of the month to do your exhaling, like what you're going to use your resources that you've built up on.
All right.
And that's an ancient way of utilizing the moon, and also a great way to just like balance the way that you move through life. Because if what our economy, what our culture wants us to do is like exert, you know? And so if we start to move in these cycles that are more natural of like increasing and decreasing, like waves, like life, like breath, like the seasons, then you'll actually find yourself in a rhythm that's more natural to your life.
Yeah, and eat seasonally. Stop eating processed food.
Yeah.
Unrelated, but related.
Yeah. Seasonal cuisine is definitely important. Yeah.
Portlandia. Thank you everybody for listening along. I hope you enjoy the moment, and may the fire inside guide you. May the intuition inside guide you.
May the fire inside guide us.
All of us. Hari Om. Tat Sat.